Welcome, everyone, to the first ever GGBL podcast. And I'm thankful that the audio is working for the microphone because that was, we needed that. We needed that to happen. The music, the introduction music just wasn't going on the live stream, which is interesting because normally in the testing it did. So go figure that. But at that point, you just sacrifice it. You know, you got the stream going. You're not gonna cancel it. You're not gonna move back. It is what it is. Okay, guys, welcome. Podcast time. So this video here, or this podcast type of thing for you guys, is to kind of digest everything that's been happening across the league. So obviously you've got 8 games in a highlight reel. You've got 8 hours of gameplay on Twitch. Sometimes 10 hours of gameplay on Twitch. It's hard to digest, right? So the biggest thing for this series, kind of like how we did the Big 12 series, if you guys remember that, if you ended up watching that series, the purpose of the podcast is to kind of get more community involved in the series and kind of also give you an update as to what's happening around the league, give you that monthly update. And that was a pain point that a lot of you guys were talking about through comments or through survey feedback, that what ended up happening last year, a lot of times I would give you guys updates at the end of the month, who's doing what, statistics, standings, and then we kind of pulled that back a little bit. So views started dropping. Views started going out of sight, disappearing everywhere. And I kind of lost a little bit of fire. I did. I would admit that I lost a little bit of fire for it. And I figured, if nobody else is interested in this, why should I go even harder? You know, why should I go harder? But you guys have been giving me new, rejuvenated flame, fire, passion for this series. So I want to go as hard as we possibly can. And I feel like this type of thing midweek is going to help. It's going to help keep you guys invested and keep you guys understanding who's doing what, how's your custom players doing, how's your team doing, what are some things that this team needs to focus on, so on and so forth. So we are going to cover a few things here today. So I have a little opening monologue that I want to talk about here about opening day across the GGBL. I got a few topics that I want to bring up and bring to discussion, and I'm gonna reference you guys as the people. Okay, you're the people out there. That's who I want you guys to adopt as a name. That's your moniker. So the chat, the people, I'm going to say the GGBL people out there. We're going to talk about a few things, and then we're going to move into the guests side of things. So we have Portugal on tap. He's going to talk about Seattle, his Seattle Emeralds, of course, as you know. He's a big Seattle Mariners, Seattle Seahawks fan, so he's naturally a Seattle Emeralds fan. So he's going to talk about Seattle. We've got PSJB going to be talking as his GGBL reporter named Scott Fitzko. So we have him as a guest appearance, and we have some drama that's happening out in a certain location. If you guys have been following Twitter, yeah, so he has a special interview that we're going to talk to him about there. Then we're going to go into Fantasy Challenge results. We're going to look at the box scores to kind of prove to you that here's the results. Here's who won for last week. And then we're going to go to Husky, a.k.a. me. Husky's not here today. He could not join us. He wanted to talk about Richmond's performance and Daniel Lynch's almost no-hitter, so we'll talk about that. And then we'll go into the April month-end simulation and then give you guys a stats update at the end of the video. Then we'll have an outro. I want to work in week 2's Fantasy Challenge in there so we can kind of preview the matchups a little bit, kind of get you prepared for Friday's streams over on Twitch. And the cool part about that is that we can get even more people involved in there. If you want to join into the Discord discussion, I will be monitoring that. Or I think Sequestral will be monitoring that, so he can even DM me to say, hey, we got somebody here that, or in the chat if you guys want to, get involved and be a guest appearance there to talk about even your picks for the Fantasy Challenge. So I will be linking to you guys the Fantasy Challenge here when we get to that section, and we can kind of go along with it together and analyze some of the picks and go from there. So, little thing of note before we get into that month-end simulation, okay? So, little thing of note. The only way that I can make a pick'em and the only way that I can know what the propositions are is if I simulate the month beforehand. So I can't do a live simulation with you here because then I have to make the propositions as we're live streaming. So that doesn't really work. So I have to go in off screen, off camera. You guys have to trust me that everything that happened is what happened. And that's the only way I can do it. In order to have this kind of type of interactivity, that's the only way that I can do it. So, all right. With that being said, every Wednesday, this is how we're going to do it, guys. I think that this format is going to be great. Obviously, we're going to change some things around and move some things around, maybe to have different little sections, designated sections. We'll have more of a podcasty type of feel, or more radio show type of feel once the production gets going, and we can go from there. So I think it's going to be fun. Let's dive right in. So first things first, a few things that I want to talk about here from GGBL opening day action. And I want to pose a question to the people. I want to pose this question to you. Was this the best opening day ever? I think it's got to be debated on. You look at last year across the GGBL in year one, if you can remember that far back. We had a walk-off win with Wisconsin. Seth Beer hit a walk-off home run. You had a 24-inning classic between Richmond and Carolina. You had, and I'd have to go back in other situations too, but I believe there were other games there like Houston. Houston played, who did Houston play? I believe they didn't play Dallas. Dallas played New Orleans again, and DeGrom was terrible. Houston played, God, who did Houston play? Either way, you had Gregory Polanco going nuts. You had Alex Bregman hitting 3 home runs in his matchup against New York. So that's a pretty big day for opening day. But this season had a little extra oomph to it, I feel like. I'm anxious to what you guys think about that. Do you feel like this was the best opening day across the GGBL? Now, if you're trying to compare this to Major League Baseball, I don't know if you can. Major League Baseball opening day is a whole different animal compared to GGBL, a fake little fictional universe over here. So, I don't know. What do you guys think in the chat? I think personally that year two's opening day was amazing. I think you had so many storylines coming into this, and so many storylines that were pre-built going into these matchups. Of course, you had the opening day games for Santa Fe Yard and the Philadelphia Flight for Flight Field. You had those games that were big for both of those squads, both those clubs. You, of course, had Carolina going up against Richmond, trying to renew that rivalry a little bit. Carolina beat us in the NL East in that division last year. It went crazy to get to that championship game and win the whole thing. Obviously, with New York going up against Atlanta kind of getting that nitty-gritty type of feel. Is New York going to be back again? A lot of custom prospects coming over. You had the Los Angeles game and San Francisco game. Janeel Rivera, the two-way player, hitting a home run off of Hunter Green, I believe. Hunter Green it was. Tyler Glasnow getting his first hit ever. Acuna's big day. So there's a lot of storylines that came through. And then in gameplay, what ended up happening in gameplay. So not only did we have the stories that were pre-built coming into this, we actually had the gameplay dictating and creating those extra storylines. So you had the almost no-hitter from Daniel Lynch against Carolina. You had the epic comeback from Santa Fe up 12-4. Minnesota comes all the way back. You can't write this stuff up, right? You can't write this stuff up. So I'm anxious to see what you guys are saying in the chat about all of this. You had Kook is saying 20 innings plus beats this opening day combined. Diabolus is saying it felt like it set the stage for season better than last year's. I would agree with that, because now, and is that a bias? is that a little bit of a bias? Because now we've already got that year one. We've already got those storylines made. So now we're going into year two, kind of already knowing that. Are we a little bit with recency bias there for year two? It's interesting. It's an interesting conversation. Kook also says, we the people of GG9, in order to form a more perfect series, ensure domestic tranquility, promote the GGBL, and secure the blessings videos. I want to know how long you thought of that. So can we interview Kook at some point? How long did he think about that? How long did he develop that? So as we get going, this introduction video to this podcast is going to be a little bit, I don't want to say it's rough, but it's kind of in its early beginnings and early stages. So as we get going, as I kind of feel out how this thing works, how the chat's going to react to this, we can develop like specific segments that we want to talk about. Like, yes, fantasy rundown. We can talk about custom prospect update. We can basically, in a way, kind of create timestamps for when we're going to talk about certain things. But for this first one, just want to kind of get the sea legs underneath, well, myself, and then our guests, of course, coming on. So I want to also pose the question before we get into our first guest, Portugal. He's going to be on deck here. And I'm going to share my screen here for you guys. You can kind of get an idea of how teams are performing based on the win-loss records of each pitcher. So like I mentioned before, I've already simulated till the end of April. So that's already done. But you can kind of get an idea of how teams are playing, maybe, based on this loose idea of how these pitchers' records are, right? So you got Sheffield 2-1. Is Michigan playing well, or is it just Sheffield playing well? Darvish 1-2. But that's how we got to operate it, right? So I want to pose the question, like, what did we learn? Did we learn anything from opening day? Is there a team out there that really showed me something, right? Is there a team that I was surprised by? And honestly, when I look at the box scores from opening day, I want to start with Seattle. And I know Portugal is going to kind of lead into this a little bit afterward, but I want to start with Seattle. This is a team. What did we learn about Seattle? Well, nothing. Nothing. We didn't learn anything about Seattle other than the fact that they are the same team as they were last year. Errors, 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 errors. 4 of them to be exact. How many actually caused runs for Indiana? I couldn't tell you. I know at a bare minimum 2. 2 runs from that Willie Calhoun throw, and then an extra base given up to Stephen Piscotty. He was the killer in that game, if you remember. So Stephen Piscotty went crazy against Seattle. And when I look at this Emeralds team, I know they're young. I know they've got a ton of potential. But you have to ask, when's that going to come together? The big thing about casual baseball, too, if you want to take it to a casual analysis, if you will, oftentimes you hear people say, like, well, the games in April don't really matter, right? You just need to get on a hot streak. I'll concede that. But at the same time, every game in a 162-game grind, it does mean a lot. It means a lot. And these games specifically against a team like Indiana, who we know made some progress in the offseason, but do they have as much potential as Seattle does? I would say no. So I look at that performance on opening day where the lights are shining a little bit brighter, the sunshine, man, the sun shines out, the spring weather, hope springs eternal. You've heard it all before. Everyone's looking forward to the future, and then you come out and you lay that stinker. 4 errors. something that we know Seattle does often. So what did we learn about Seattle? I'd say nothing. I'd say that they're the same team as they were last season. One other thing that I learned is that Phoenix actually does have a good offense. Phoenix does actually have a good offense. It's amazing to me. They had 17 hits against Luke Weaver and that Oklahoma bullpen. I did not see that coming. I had no idea that was going to happen. I look at Phoenix's lineup and I think, man, this is, and we'll take a look at their lineup a little bit later in the outro here with the stats updates. But that Phoenix lineup, just when we were looking at this, I did not anticipate that this was going to be a team that was going to bust out 17 hits against Oklahoma's ace. Didn't see it. Didn't see that coming whatsoever. One other thing that we learned is that Jacob deGrom on opening day, don't bet with him. Bet against him on opening day. Zach Wheeler was good, if not great, against that Dallas Hatters lineup. This is a Dallas team that acquired a few pieces in the offseason. They had a good draft with Joe Beck, which custom prospect. They had some good offensive additions in the offseason with Brandon Nimmo. So I look at New Orleans also getting Luigi Mazza as well, being a pretty legitimate contender here in the NL Central. So, I mean, taking out Dallas on opening day, that was a tough one, but they got it done. What else did we learn? San Francisco is legit. San Francisco is not an 82-80 team. Preview, throw it out the window. Here. Preview. Throw it out the window. San Francisco's legit. They are ranked the first overall team, according to MLB The Show, in this franchise series. In this franchise save file, they're number one. Why I didn't look at that, I don't know. I just looked at what they did last season as a below 500 team, and I just didn't think that they were going to do this. They go out to LA, and they lay a whooping on LA, a team that was supposed to be, as Diabolus would put it, a preseason darling to not only win the division, but possibly be the best team in the league, right? So they only got 10 hits on Tyler Glasnow. So if you have got good pitching into GGBL, even with bullpen help as well, you're going to be a force. And they came out and they put the boomstick on them, man. They just said, we're kings of Cali, not you guys. The LA Knights, no, San Francisco Grizzlies all the way. So is it too early to tell? You could argue that, and I wouldn't rip you for it. But from where I sit watching the entire game, compared to what we watched elsewhere, I think San Francisco is going to go on a freaking tear. They're going to be a really good team, a force to be reckoned with all season long. So that is kind of my recap, and I'm anxious to get the other guys involved now and really talk about those points. If they have anything else that they want to add onto this, then feel free. But I know that Portugal has specifically some things to talk about Seattle, so we'll start that conversation. Then we'll move into Scott Fitzko. He's up next. And then after that interview, we will have the Fantasy Challenge results. And we'll go from there. So with that, I would like to welcome Portugal to the fold to talk about some things Seattle related. Hey, Port, can you hear me? I guess I have to be in the VC in order to make that happen. So Portugal is on deck now. So,
hello.
Sir, hello. Welcome.
Hello. It's good to be here. Yeah, I've just wanted to, Goldie, I just really wanted to talk about Seattle last Friday. Watched the whole game of the Emeralds in Indiana, and it got me a fire lit inside me. And I wasn't going to talk about them. When I was thinking maybe I'll talk about LA, maybe I'll talk about international prospects. But when Seattle dropped that performance, I just said to myself, I think it's time. I've got to lay the truth on Seattle.
Well, I mean, I think, are you a little frustrated? Are you a little frustrated with the production, with the performance?
Of course, I mean, like, if you look year two, and I just want to set the stage for everyone, quickly about this team. Julio Reyes, when he was signed to this team, he was the ace, the ace type of player. And everyone in the league, everyone in the media, they were questioning, can he be that leader? You know how good he was with the Dodgers, but he's lived up to that last year, and he lived it up in his, I think, first game. Really, he matched Syndergaard in performance, I'd say, and I think Urias has really proved himself that he can be a star of a team. And you go further in, James Monroe, former star of UAB baseball, was a relief guy, then went to starting pitching, got that stamina up, and is now kind of, he can pitch. He can pitch really, really well, and he can pitch long now because he's worked on his arm a lot, and it was a big signing for Seattle when they got him last year. William Kuo, international prospect from South Korea. That was a huge pickup. It's going to be a good player this season. Nolan Mitchell, he's going to be good. And then we have to go into the, infield and outfield. And I'll talk about the outfield in a bit. But Rushman, number one prospect in baseball before he was signed to Seattle. Huge get for Seattle. You go Wander Franco before Rushman was the number one player. I believe Wander Franco, he was the number one player. Prospect, in baseball. So you can see how many, you can just see how many players they've got that are going to be stars or projected to be stars. I shouldn't forget Nico Horner, who had a great year last year. Didn't have the power, but, I mean, nobody expected him to bat that good last year. I believe he had somewhere between like a 270 or 280 average, and he did really well as that, second batter in the lineup. Jed Jerko coming over. It's a great experienced man there, helping out the locker room. And then you've got Kenneth Alexander Jr., obviously the golden boy, what people like to call him, inside the organization, outside the organization with, the haters and the people that love him. He's very, I don't want to say controversial, but very neutral figure in the GGBL, I would say. You add Jumbo Candyman, from Jamaica, you knew Seattle was going to get someone, in the custom prospect draft, and they got the DH they wanted in Jumbo. But I think it's time to start talking about this outfield. And this is going to go on my first point is the fielding.
Well,
the fielding of the out.
That's what I wanted to garner from you is that you can see a little bit of a spoiler there at the top with the record. And we can kind of talk about that too if you want. Do you, as a Seattle fan, do you feel like this team is ready to find themselves, that they just had a bad April, or is this something that is a concern going into May, June? And as I mentioned, you can't get behind the eight ball. You can't, especially with GGBL play. You cannot afford early losses. It's hard to dig yourself out of that because what we're seeing now is you're seeing such a competitive league as it is. Yeah. Do you feel like this is a cause of concern?
Is it a cause of concern? I would say, right now, Seattle, I think, like you said earlier, Seattle is kind of the same team as last year. At the very end of last year, they had if you look at the last 10 games from last year, when they ended it out, they were 5-5, and they're basically 500 right now. So, I mean, it really comes down to experience in that fielding. I think bullpen experience, I'll talk about that later, but it's really that Seattle doesn't have that outfielder. I think a lot of teams have an outfielder that you can count on. I'm just going to quickly go. Yasiel Puig for Las Vegas. Jesse Winker for Phoenix. Who else can I go? Mookie Betts for Oklahoma. Keon Broxton for Santa Fe. They're all in the division. They're all better. So I think, this outfield, when you looked at year one, Ramirez, Bonifacio, Santana, Calhoun, Dominguez, Franklin, you look at those type of guys. Ramirez isn't on the team anymore. Bonifacio's, he's still on the team, but he's on kind of shaky ground. Santana, I don't think he's even on the team anymore. If not, he's in AAA. Calhoun's still.
He is not. I believe Domingo Santana is in AAA at this point. You
Yeah,
might know. You
exactly.
know what? I don't think he's even on the team.
Yeah, I know. Willie Calhoun and Dominguez are probably the only two players that have stayed from last year, and Franklin's been called down. So, Hap, good get, Pereza, good get, but is Willie Calhoun's arm becoming a problem? Because we've seen this in gameplay. Calhoun's arm.
There's Domingo Santana right there, but yes, to your point, when we look at this outfield specifically, you can get a little bit of a sneak peek preview at the statistics here, but when you add a player like Jose Peraza that does have some good defense to account for Willie Calhoun, Peraza didn't play.
No,
Calhoun did.
Play. Exactly, and that's a manager's decision. We saw Pereza in spring training. He was good in spring training, actually, if I recall. You guys didn't, from what I saw. So Pereza is, it's going to be interesting if he starts. I think Seattle should get him in for Bonifacio. Bonifacio is a great hitter, but is he that fielder that Seattle's looking for? I don't think so. You look at game one, I know he didn't get an error, but there was definitely a play where I remember Bonifacio should have thrown it to KAJ, and I thought that would have been out, but he threw it away to, I believe, Nico Horner, and just, they took the first base. So, Willie Calhoun made an error that game, and it goes to the outfield, and, it comes down to inexperience of this team and why they're kind of here. Horner, that's such a rare mistake from him, and Franco as well. You don't see that. So I don't think that's sustainable, but I think what is sustainable is 2 errors a game. I think Seattle, they're having 2 errors per game.
You look at a player like Ian Happ, for example, a guy that they acquired in free agency, not the best defensively, but he's going to be able to hit. He kind of acts like a Willie Calhoun-esque type of player. So
yeah. He did nothing wrong.
Seattle
did nothing wrong in that first game.
An enigma to me. They really are an enigma. This is why that I picked them to ultimately win the division. But in a tie, because it's hard for me to actually say, because they do have the talent across the board, and they're actually producing offensively, like Kenneth Alexander, 308, 4 homers, 15 ribbies. Nico's 299. It's like this team. They can hit and they can pitch. They've got all the talent in the world, but it's just whatever it is, it's the youth and the experience. I think you bring up a very good point. So
yeah. Is it, and also one more thing, is it the bullpen as well? Because you look at Clippard and Blake Parker, they were the 2 big losses for Seattle, and they were both in the bullpen. Crochet's a great closer. We all know that. He's probably the best young closer in the GGBL right now. So, is it that bullpen also letting them down? Because it was kind of close when it was Seattle versus Indiana, and you looked at Urias and Syndergaard. I think it might have been tied. The bullpens come in, and, Indiana's bullpen won the fight against Seattle. So, is that a problem?
I think bullpen does look like it is an issue with this team. You got Krause with 19 2/3, 8 ERA with a 1.9. Bettinger's been okay in the pen, but you got Paulino, 15 2/3, 5.17, and then you got Cole, 6 2/3. It's that long relief, middle relief that's really giving them issues. The back end seems fine. Walden, Morin's only got an inning, so you can't really throw that in there. But Crochet, 4 1/3. It seems like it's okay. Starting pitching seems like it's decent as well, but man, Seattle, they got to put it together. It's a long season. We'll get that. We'll get that standings update to let you know how they're doing. They're currently 9-12, so how that stacks up with the rest of the AL West, we'll find out. But Port, thank you very much.
No problem.
Looking forward to seeing how your Seattle Emeralds are going to do for the rest of May.
It'll definitely, one more thing, Gold, it'll definitely come down to, can this squad get into, their rhythm in June or July? I don't think you're going to see them as maybe that playoff team until then. There's still so many things to figure out. And the start of last year, you looked at it, it was bleak, and they got better as the year went on. So I wonder if it's the same here. I wonder if this is just a slow start. I wonder if it's just something else. So yeah, that's all I have to say.
We will look forward to watching their grind for the rest of the season. So thank you, sir.
Very excited. Thank you.
All right. So the Seattle faithful fan out there gave us a little bit of a rundown. And before, let's go back to opening day box scores here. Let's bring in PSJB, aka Scott Fitzko, to talk about some rumors or some things that he's noticed on the Twitterscape.
I've noticed quite a few things on the Twitter side of things. I've done a couple interviews. I've done a couple things with a couple of players, interactions with a couple of players. A lot of those are bigger than some of them. But everybody wants to know about the big thing, which is the dilemma in New York. And I'm here to talk about that today. So basically,
you're hearing something happening in New York. What's happening in New York?
So, top prospect as of last year, Alexei Shevchuk, is really unhappy with the situation, the starting day. It's something that they can't fix at this point in time. He was upset at that point in time with him not starting and Casey Mize starting over him. So he took to Twitter about it, and he said that
Hold on. Hold on. Hold on a second. You're telling me I just want to make sure you understand. I'm understanding this correctly. I just want to make sure I'm understanding correctly. Alexei Shevchuk is stating he's butthurt that Casey Mize got the call on opening day over him. That's what I'm hearing.
Simplified down to that, pretty much. Yes.
You're telling me that the man who got absolutely obliterated in a playoff game in the World Series, in the Gold Series, got absolutely obliterated, is mad and angry like a little child that he didn't start over Casey Mize.
I am indeed saying that, and I think it is a bit.
Who, by the way, in the playoffs was great. Casey Mize was great.
I think it's very I think it's not debatable to the point that Casey Mize is better than Alexei Shevchuk. I think that's not debatable. I think it's quite obvious who is the better pitcher there. And personally, I don't understand his thing. I think it's a bit stupid. I took it to him and I asked him what he thought.
Please tell us exactly what that. How did that interview go? I can only imagine what was going through your head with that interview.
Oh yeah. Want me to read the whole thing, or just want me to summarize it?
Go for it. We're all ears. We're all ears out here.
Okay. So, I asked him about his recent tweet. I asked if he was a bit restless about things. He said, "Oh, well, I'm not restless. I'm mad. I plan on being the future of this team, and I want to be a number one pitcher." And he says, "I think I need to face the other number one pitchers to test myself." I said, I guess I can understand that. Are you upset with how management is handling this? Casey Mize is a very good pitcher. Some would even say one of the better ones in the league. Are you sure you're ready to face the number ones that he faces on a daily? And Shevchuk has the audacity to say, Casey's great and all that, but I'm looking to take that next step this year. I feel like we have comparable ability and that I should be viewed equally with him. Because it's my second season and Casey had better stats last year doesn't mean I shouldn't also be considered for that role. Well, arguably, that's exactly what that means. I asked him who is he most upset with at this point, and he said he's more upset with himself, which kind of changed the narrative on this, I suppose, or as he changed his mind mid-interview. He's not the number one option because of himself. He said he worked his butt off to get better off the offseason, and he's still doubted. Great reason. I asked what the best solution, in his opinion, is to this problem. He said there's only one way to fix this. Destroy all batters I face. I plan on making every team I face wish they were facing the other guy. I asked him one last question. I said, how are you feeling about the team as a whole? He said, this team is still a good team. I only hope we can prove our playoff run was not a fluke and we are true contenders.
It sounds as if the youngster has kind of a weird. It's a very weird understanding of how to PR to move through the waters and PR responsibly. Because as a 22-year-old from Ukraine, maybe he doesn't understand the whole way that the American media works. That you say something like that, you are technically throwing your own teammate under the bus, because now there's a little disharmony in New York
as well.
I just find that very hard to wrap my head around. He did pitch. He pitched. He was good. I mean, let's give him some credit here, right? So 291, 125, six quality starts, and Casey Mize was maybe just as good with a little bit better. He's a potential player, and
he's gonna be good. He just needs that time, and I sort of get what he's saying with he wants to face the number ones, but I'm not sure he's ready yet. And I think that Mize, rather than being his enemy, which is what Shevchuk I think is trying to put on him, could be more of a mentor to him.
He comes off like he's talking about an angry parent that is trying to talk to their coach about how my kid isn't playing. That's how it comes off. Is that
it's a good sum up to that.
Your mom comes to the coach and says, "My little Johnny's not playing because you're an asshole." No, it's just because I got to make a choice here. You can only have one pitcher on the mound at a time, and they're both really good. Exactly. They're both really good. So,
both really good. Yeah.
What do you want from me?
Going back on the fact of him throwing Casey Mize under the bus as well, I think he threw his organization under the bus quite a bit too. Kind of started it created a bit of unrest, not just within him, but within his organization. Sure.
Yeah, and I mean, we'll see exactly how this has affected them. This news came out on opening day, and we'll see how this news affected them across the month of April. If it did or if it didn't, but yeah, we'll find out. But also, let's bring attention here to the contract length, right? So Shevchuk is only going to improve. Is this something that's a little bit of a sticky subject, a little bit of a sore subject here? Is this where he's coming from on all of this? He's making $62,000 a year. Let's look at Casey Mize's numbers. He's making $1.3 million for similar production. Is Alexei Shevchuk now locked up for all these years? I don't know. He's under contract. He's under contract for what? 7 years, I think. Is that the number? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He's 7 years. 6 years.
Yeah. I definitely think that adds a bit of salt onto an opened wound.
He's going to be 28 years old by the time he gets out of the current contract.
Yeah, it's a really long contract, and I think that could be a bit of things. And I think Alexei could be that guy that says, "Oh, I want out. I want to go be an ace somewhere else."
It could very possibly be.
I just don't see New York moving on from Casey Mize like that. It'd be kind of dumb if they would,
Well, especially when you're making bank on you're getting a discount. You're getting a discounted pitcher with Shevchuk with $62K for the course of 6 seasons. You're going to do everything that opens up the pocketbooks for Casey Mize.
New York's in an amazing situation right now, and I think they're definitely going to take advantage of it. Unless that Alexei Shevchuk starts to be that locker room cancer that many athletes have been before because they don't want to be there.
Right.
Could be a possible thing. I could see that from him.
Well, cool. Thanks for bringing that to our attention, Scott. That's going to be a interesting storyline to follow. Is there? Are you hearing anything else out there with across the league? You're the beat.
I had an interview with Paxton.
You are known, Scott. You are known as the beat, the heartbeat of the GGBL. So we gotta on this show we gotta pull as much as we can out of you for all the viewers out here.
I had an interview with Paxton Burnside, and I'm not going to go fully into that thing, but that kid has a mentality that is way beyond his age group. I think it's really cool, and I could talk a bit about Colorado here. Take some time if you don't mind.
Sure, go for it. What do you got?
Well, so Paxton and Percy Burnside headline that whole team, and I think that they're under a lot of things. But there is one thing I'm worried about with that team, and that is Trevor Story, because last year in the MLB he did not produce, and he's not. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he's not been producing completely the start of the GGBL season. It's a bit worrisome.
225 to start off, and it's interesting that they've got him wanting to bat leadoff. That's probably got something to do with that. But Story is the type of guy that probably should be moved down to the number 2. Eddie Rosario should be your leadoff in my assumption. Yeah. Rosario should be your leadoff. Story 2, Anderson 3, Myers 4.
Yeah.
But that could be eating into his production just a little bit. But
I think later, Paxton and Percy's career, they could be the 1 and 4 respectively. Percy hits for a lot of contact, and Paxton hits for a lot of power. You can move Trevor, I think, down to that 3 spot because he has a decent combination. He's more power than he does contact. I think Eddie's a perfect 2.
This is a team that I look at. Did you ask him any questions about how he feels the team performance is going?
Yeah, I did. Hold on, let me pull that interview up real fast. I did.
Because they're currently 11 and 10 in 3rd place. There's a little bit of a preview for the audience here. 11 and 10, 3rd place, 2 games back. Grizzlies maintaining a lead. Did you talk to him about his production and how that's equivalent to the performance right now?
Well, the interview was before opening day, so I haven't got to talk to him about that too. But I do look to do a follow-up. But I asked him about this team before he went in. And he said...
This is a guy that hit 250 last season with 65 ribbies. So the power is there. The contact, the amount of home runs to RBIs, you want to see him drive in a few more runs. If you're going to hit 20 home runs, you probably should be getting that 80.
RBI kind of,
78, 85 range. To me, that 250 batting average, 70 walks, that's a good number.
It's a really good. A lot of power hitters don't have that kind of vision, and I think that's pretty good. How many strikeouts did he have, if you don't mind me asking?
110. 117.
Never mind.
But it looks like Paxton. Yeah, we saw him in year 1. He was highly productive. But
10 steals too.
Did he talk about anything like the addition of Trevor Story now that there's a little added pressure onto the team?
I didn't ask him about that. I asked him about how he felt about the players, just like in a whole. He goes, "Oh, not only do I love the players, but I love the community, and I love the fans, and I love the state of Colorado." Which is like kind of goes off topic what you asked, but that's what I got from that. Colorado has been in a slump. Not only Paxton, but I think the whole team as a whole has been in a slump. It's disappointing because they are a good team, and I think they're better than what they're playing right now.
They should definitely be better right now. You've got Story with 225. Brendan Davis has been a bright spot. Maybe they end up moving him to lead off and moving Story down. Tim Anderson with no home runs at the end of the month. That is a huge blow. This team,
Trevor Story and the Tim Anderson, the superstars of this team.
Yeah, they need to produce. We need to be very critical of that. They are the best players on the team. They need to be able to produce. You've got Harold Ramirez out here doing his part, if not a little more. He's the JanSport's heavy for Harold Ramirez. He's carrying the team a lot. Paxton's got to step it up a little bit. 217. Eddie Rosario can't put him at leadoff right now. Can't do it. 127.
Not right now, no, not at all.
Mikey White, 308. Mikey White has been an unsung hero on this team. In gameplay, he produces. Had 138 strikeouts, though. That's got to cut down. 243. He's got to get on base a little bit. But he's like the perfect 9-hole hitter. If he's going to get you 308, that should be okay. Should be all right.
Someone in chat asked, why not Tim Anderson at leadoff? Well, Tim Anderson has a lot of power. While he's not showing it this year, it's still... Plus, he does something that a couple players have done before. He completely loses his his power, I think it's pretty smart to keep him at where he is right now.
The
He is hitting
pitching,
a 283 with no home runs.
the pitching is an
Guess he needs it.
absolute mess right now. 6.52 with McKay, Chad Kuhl an 8.8, Nick Lodolo 7.1. So, you talk about the combination, the secret ingredient to why this team is a little bit just playing 500 baseball, and they should be better. Offensive players have to produce. Pitching is almost like a guarantee that this team is not going to pitch very well because it's 81 games in Colorado.
It's going to be hard.
You punt that. So your offensive players have to produce. You're already backing yourselves into that corner. Your offensive players have to produce, and if they don't, you're going to get 11 and 10.
You're going to get
You're going to get 11 and 10.
I see a couple of things happening in Colorado in the future trade-wise. They definitely need to get number 3 or 4 starter. I think that their lineup is good enough, while they may not be performing to good enough, quotation mark. I think that pitching could definitely be a problem if they do get out of the slump that they are in.
Yeah.
Someone in chat said Mikey White with a 419 on base percentage, and you could lead off. That is a possibility I think the Colorado could go to, is Mikey White leading off, depending on how his production keeps on moving.
Let's see that Mikey White numbers here. He's 56, 58, 57. So he's a well-rounded player. If you do, because he's hot right now. So to Corey Karhoff's point, he's hot right now. So you might as well take advantage of that. And if he's getting on base as it is, in June, is that going to continue? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe make a change in June. But if he's in the top of the order, he's hot right now. He's getting on base. It's only going to help these guys.
Another thing is, Colorado's bench is really good. Especially that catching position. Luis Campusano as a second could arguably start depending on how he's doing. Never mind.
They've got so much limited action that it's hard to tell exactly how they're doing.
Yeah.
But
starters.
What's up, Rashad? Rashad Bolden says hello in the chat. Welcome, sir.
What's up, Rashad?
All right, Scott. Well, are any predictions going forward? Any predictions about New York, about Colorado?
Oh.
You see all the standings here. And you know what? We might as well take a look at those standings, everyone. We might as well take a look at those standings and talk to Scott and see what he thinks about what's going to happen here. So we'll start with the AL East and talk about what's going to happen, what he believes is going to happen. We'll put him on record. We'll put him on the spot here, and then we'll move to the Fantasy Challenge results for Week 1, and then we'll talk about Week 2. I'll link the contest to everyone in the chat on YouTube so that you can fill it out while we talk about it. So, Scott, take it away here. What are you seeing out here in the AL East? I see the Pizzazz at 12-9. Swamp Monsters a little bit below 500 here, 10-12. The Mallards and the Revolution are struggling right now. Hammers, surprisingly, the Pittsburgh Hammers, 13-8.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but Pittsburgh Hammers were projected to be really good last year.
They were. Yep, they were actually they were supposed to be one of the top teams.
They did not perform to that. Same thing with San Francisco last year, though. They're both like that. I don't see the Hammers keeping this up. I don't see the Hammers winning this division. I could be wrong, but I don't see it. I personally see the Pizzazz Swamp Monsters winning this division without a doubt. I'm going to go with the hot take, and I'm going to say the Swamp Monsters win it. Maybe the Pizzazz in the wild card.
Yeah, we'll take a look real quick at that AL East with the Hammers lineup here really quick. We've got Bubba Thompson, 250. Forsythe, we called that Forsythe was going to be a good player for them. Hitting 313, played for the Chicago Breeze last season. Aaron Judge, yet again, in GGBL play, just cannot hit for average.
Can't do it. 4 home runs, too. That's horrible from Aaron Judge. 4 home runs in 63 at-bats is disgusting.
Christian Vasquez, someone who does not have a ton of contact, hitting 330.
Hitting for contact.
JJ Bleday, 200. I would agree with you. I don't think that this is sustainable. I don't think that the Hammers run is very sustainable. They've got Nolan Gorman sitting on the bench here. McCutcheon's actually doing well in limited time. Jonathan Guzman playing 366 and 41 at bats. Kingery's been great.
Starting.
Kingery needs to be playing a little bit more, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Over Anderson Tejeda, even though he's a little bit less rated, I think Kingery needs to be playing. And then a Ronaldo Hernandez.
I would say that too. Anderson Tejeda hasn't been all that, and Scott Kingery has been all that. I think you put him there, split their time a bit. I think you start Andrew McCutchen too.
I think the main reason why this team is so good right now is the pitching staff. You got Weathers at a 2.6, Balazovic at a 1.7.
Really good pitching.
Yeah, this team does have some good pitching. Then some youngsters here: Martin Tate, Joe Ryan at 25, Bitsko. Maybe Bitsko needs to be moving into the rotation.
Yeah,
he's got.
Maybe move out of Joe Ryan out there.
A potential player.
Yeah.
So Pittsburgh is actually they've got good pitching. That's what's keeping them involved, I think. But I think that's a tough. I think that's just a tough. That's a tough call. So you like Washington winning the division?
Yeah.
I still think that I would agree with you. I think they're just a little bit slow right now.
Yeah. Pizzazz. I think it's either Pizzazz or Swamp Monsters, without a doubt. Another thing I see Pittsburgh doing is, because I could see them falling off the earth completely, they could probably ship some of their pitchers, or even Andrew McCutchen, as pretty good value for prospects.
That could happen. That could easily happen. It's not off the radar here, especially for that team. Boston's lineup's been a little underwhelming. You got New York with Benito Ramirez, 309. I think New York's going to hang in there too.
Playing. I think Bryce Harper, MVP.
No? Nicky Delmonico, man. What else is there to say about Nicky Delmonico?
I love that guy. He was I think, probably the second best player on the New York Pizzazz last year, hitting wise.
He's insane, man. 348, 69 at bats. Harper. He just produces, man. He just produces. Randy Florentino, 278. Nice. Trevino,
like
Garrett
an MVP
Mitchell.
right now.
As Drupal hitting well. So this team's offense, it does produce. So I'm looking at the Pizzazz to kind of
think so.
Really take off here in May. I think this team can continue on with that. Their pitching rotation, we looked at those numbers already with Shevchuk, Casey Mize at a 2-1 or a 2-0, I should say 2-0-1. Shugart with a 3, De La Rosa 2-2-8, Blackburn at the 5, Hamels in the pen. Bullpen's decent. Trevor May, 8 innings. How many saves does he have? 7. So he has 1 blown save. He's stepped right in and been a solid contributor for the Pizzazz, and I think that this is a division definitely to watch out for. What about the Central?
The torn between this.
This is surprising to me. This is very surprising. The Cardinals at 14-7.
Ooh, Yaks at 13-9.
Look at the offense. 117 runs scored.
These two teams that should not be good are doing really good.
7 straight games, by the way. They've won 7 straight games. So they were a 500 team. They were 7-7. They've won 7 straight games.
Huh. That's need to see this team.
Lindor, 20 ribbies, 307. JD Davis, 294. This team's hitting, man. This team is hitting.
There's a lot of production on the hitting side.
We were talking about this before. We were talking about how the addition of Wilmer Flores was going to
Wilmer's tearing it.
Extend this lineup out, and he hit well for Miami last season too.
Yeah.
Bo Callaway, the custom player, hitting 321 and 84 at bats. That's a big sample size for this guy. So 321.
That's big sample size and big production.
This team is definitely going to be a good hitting team all season long. I'm anticipating.
There's not one player in Austin Wells on there not contributing hitting-wise. And Austin Wells is arguably a golden catcher.
Ugh, man,
and their pitching is good at the top 3. Depends
But
on
you
how
take a look at
last
the
two are doing.
pitching,
Oh
though,
my
too.
gosh. Matthew Thompson.
Yeah, but look at the pitching, though. You got 3-0 Diego Garcia, Mark LaPierre, the custom player, Liberator.
It's pretty good except for Matthew Thompson.
The pitching's been fine.
Yeah, I think other than
Pitching's
Matthew
been
Thompson.
really good.
Yeah.
Wow, this pitching has been almost automatic.
This is
even the bullpen.
I can't put the reason for success on either side. There's only one person not performing offensively. There's only one person not performing pitching wise. Maybe one, maybe two if you include the bullpen. It's a team's pulling it together. Now whether they hold it together, different question. What's going on there?
What?
Firebirds?
What?
17-3?
No.
Oh, how do you feel right now, Goldie? Doing it to spite you.
I would throw my freaking hat or just throw it at the wall, man. I'd tear my sign down back there. Jeez, 17-3.
I think the Firebirds withhold the success.
Here's the key for Phoenix. This is crazy to me. 9-1 in their last 10. 57 runs against.
Hold on. Look, their last loss was the most recent. They are on a 1-game losing streak.
Yeah. Let's look at the Firebirds calendar here real quick, because that, to me, is absolutely insane. They were 27th ranked. You see this? They're 27th ranked.
Yeah. Be the third worst team.
And somehow they're the best team in the GGBL. How is this even possible? I want you to take a look at a win streak. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10.
They only lost
12,
2 games within
14,
all of April.
15-game winning streak.
It's insane.
But you see what's happening with this team, though, right? They're not scoring a ton of runs. Like, you can look at it, like 3-0, 4-2, 4-1,
Is this
2-1.
the Mallards? Is this Mallards 2.0?
Could be. 3-1, 6-4, 3-2, 4-3. What's the run differential between?
Oklahoma gave them a bit of a problem, then they went off.
Yeah. So let's take a look at that pitching, because preseason, I marked this team as having the best pitching staff in the league.
Which it is, without a doubt, I think.
Which it is, but I did not anticipate that their offense would come up with those timely hitting, those timely hits. I think that's what I said in the preview. I was like, I don't know who in this lineup is going to get them the big hit. The pitching's going to keep them in every game, but I don't know in this lineup who's going to give them the big hit. Well, apparently that's not been true. Everybody's been able to contribute in there and get big hits and get them wins, because this is insane. .94 for Max Fried, 3-0. Elior Letterman, 3-0. Custom player, 228, 123. Rick Porcello, 304. Remember, they traded Asa Lacy for Rick Porcello in the playoff chase. So
it's working out so far. I mean, will it work out in the future though? But I don't think that matters right now.
That got a lot of heat. The Porcello to Lacy thing got a lot of heat.
Everybody who gave that heat, look at this 3.04 ERA for Rick Porcello. So
2.35, 1.22 for Rico. He's having a bounce back. He's having a better season than he did in his rookie year, so he's learned a lot already. And then Zach Logue, 2.01, 1.34. Bullpen.
See who's producing on the offensive side.
Blaine Hardy, 146.8. Strickland, 0.79. So this team, Brad Brock hasn't given up a run. Tyler Lyons, the closer. The pitching staff has been going nuts.
Everybody's good. Only one guy that has like a bad ERA, and he's only pitched 3 innings.
But you do have to ask the question then, right? So you have to ask the question for Phoenix, how long is this sustainable for them? Is this offense going to calm down?
They are like in Mallards 2.0. It won't. But
you don't think it's going to?
I do think it's going to slow down. I think the Mallards are a better team. when they did do this. I think it's going to slow down, but I can still see them making the playoffs.
It's a jam-packed AL West, that's for sure. I mean, you look at the talent in the AL West. Now, the spread right now is 5.5 games from the Nuggets, but it's early, and things could swing that other way. If your pitching blows up and you're off, it's all about congruence and synergy. If things are just not timed up right, you're going to play 500 baseball. If everything's lined up like it is right now, you're going to be going 9-1 in the last 10 and 15 straight games that you win.
Who do you see winning this division?
What's that?
Who do you see winning this division?
I said Seattle.
Going with the Firebirds.
I still believe in Seattle.
You're riding that, huh? Yeah, that's funny.
Riding it. I'm gonna go with it. And
Wild card
if
race.
I get it right, I'm gonna see my Jesus. So.
Wild card race update. Jax 13-9, Pizzazz 12-9. Still just too early to
Jax
tell.
are really surprising too to me.
Let's take a look at the NL East. We got the Blue Sox 15-5. You got the Good Boys trailing them 13-8. Moonshots under 500. Sting, kind of anticipated that for the Sting and the Flight at 6-15. Copperheads, Maroons, Heat, Swing, Hatters, all within a game and a half. It's a logjam in the NL Central.
Yeah.
What do you make of that?
Three teams with the same record. I don't. I'm going to say something stupid. I think the Hatters are going to win it.
I don't think that's a dumb call. They're 5th ranked.
I think that
they've got a good team.
I think they can bring it back, and I think they will.
Let's go to the Dallas Hatters lineup here real quick. You got Nimmo hitting 390. Derek Caro, 292. Madrigal, 329. Tristan Case has got to pump it up. So this is really what's driving that. So they need both their 4.5s to come up bigger. Joe Beck
needs some more power.
Yeah, Joe Beck's got to produce.
Insane contact.
It's that bottom of the order. The first 3 hitters are fine. Everything else has not been good.
They're what dragging it down.
Yep,
Ooh,
but
Leota Taveras.
Still a very good team. DeGrom's kind of bringing it back. 289, 107. Melton's got to be better.
Hasn't even gotten a hit yet off the bench.
Pitching staff.
They have who's known as right now the best pitcher in the league, who actually 2.089 ERA, arguably people that are doing better than him. So,
all right, let's skip over to the West, and then we'll finish this standings updates off, and then we can kind of talk about the fantasy channels, and then go into the outro. And if you guys want, if you have the need to take a look at some statistics for your players, please post that in the comment section. I'll try to have somebody bring that attention to me.
I can bring attention to you.
Okay, you got it. The Grizzlies 13-8, the Knights 12-11, Coyotes. We talked about this. 11-10. They need a little bit more production. Look at the run differential there. Scored in against. -1 right now. Defenders playing some decent baseball. Pioneers at 8-12. We kind of anticipated that they were not going to be very good. But you take a look at the Grizzlies statistics there, and remember, this is what I was talking about earlier in the podcast here. First overall rank, 6th in contact, first power, first pitching. How did I not notice that? I mean, this team is. I mean, they got a team batting average of 294.
Their defense is horrible, apparently. Worse than Seattle's, apparently.
And we'll look at this. So the 266 from the leadoff, 286 for Holder, 385 for Yelich, 345 for Hira, 36 RBIs and 15 home runs between the two of them. That's huge. You got Hazley stepping up at 351. Michael's stepping up with 280, and then you got Will Till still trying to figure out how he's going to get out of that paper bag.
Still slumping.
Yeah.
And his rookie
300 for Trace.
Slumping.
Suzuki,
yeah, this team
412. It's a
crazy.
hitting team, man.
Have 3 to 2 guys over 350 batting average. That's pretty stinking good, and their pitching has. Oh, never mind. Their pitching isn't.
It's been mediocre outside of Glass. Now it's been mediocre.
Bullpen's been a bit rocky, yeah. Johnny Chirinos should be doing better than he is. A lot better.
Swanson's been their best guy in the lower part of the order, other than Tyler Glasnow there. So interesting. Let's take a look at the LA Knights really quick, because they've obviously one of the favorites and underperforming just a little bit. Smith at 240, custom player. 293 for Acuna. You would have thought he would have been putting up Bryce Harper type of numbers, like Triple Crown numbers from last season, but
more home runs too.
290s, got to get better. Castellanos, and then whoa, Conforto. Conforto just goes off in GGBL play. 414.
I'll get it. 414 and 87 at bats. Is he an MVP favorite? Maybe
he should be.
Nope, the home runs aren't there.
Brody Jordan.
He was good last year too. They have those. Their top of the order is insane.
Ryan Braun has not played. Ryan Braun didn't play the entire month. That's sad. That's sad for him.
You just start Ryan Valade.
Let's look at the pitching staff really quick, and we'll talk about Janil Rivera. He's one of the more highly touted custom players in this league, so I wanna bring attention to him. But Hancock is getting lit up. Akita Radon kind of lit up there. Benjamin lit up. Hale not pitching decent, not very good. 17 innings. Gerber was the unfortunate casualty of that opening day game, so he got in some garbage time. 10 ERA. Anderson does 6.6. Bracier's fine. Jimenez has been fine, but it seems like the pitching staff really needs to clean up some things. Sagano as your ace. I would have thought that this team would have been better
slumping
pitching wise, but let's talk about Janil Rivera. 4.63, 1-1, 11 2/3, .94. So the whip, the control, seems like it's all there. It's just seeming like it's the timely hit that he's given up.
Can't get the strikeouts either, which isn't necessarily needed if you're gonna pitch to contact and stuff. But
that's kind of his game.
And then
when you look at his velocity here, it's 65. Knuckleball, splitter 84, Vulcan change, screwball. So he's a movement type of pitcher. He's not going to blow it by you. He's not a Shohei Ohtani. As much as he's going to draw those comparisons in this league, he's not a Shohei. He's not going to blow it by you. He doesn't have the stuff. He's got some good stuff, but he doesn't have Shohei stuff. But as a two-way, he's almost there. He's halfway through each category. 11 2/3 innings pitched, so he's got a little ways to go there. Could probably get that in 2 starts. 11 out of 20 games played as a position player, so he's almost there. And really what ended up happening with Janil Rivera in the very beginning is, in the very beginning of the month, how do you take a guy out of that lineup? You can't pitch him at that point. You got to let him hit.
Yeah.
He gets a double off of Glasnow. He gets a home run in his debut. It's like you got to let the guy hit. So they did. They allowed for him to do this at the very first half of the year, and then put him in the bullpen. So he did get a hold at one point. So he was involved in some bullpen work. But look at the batting average, man. 279, a stolen base, 3 home runs. What do you think about Janil Rivera? What's your analysis here about Janil?
I think what everybody else sees is, can he produce on both sides of the ball? He's obviously producing hitting-wise, but he hasn't produced his little sample on pitching. But I definitely think that he can get it together, and I think that he will. The real question is how does LA want to use him, I think. It's a management.
It's a tough call. I think they're jockeying him a little bit, kind of moving him back and forth. And it shows, right? So would his batting average be a little bit better if he only could focus on one thing? Would he be up in the 290s? Would he be a 300 hitter? He's got the attributes to do it in the 60s and 50s. In this league, that'll give you 300.
Yeah. Sure. It's happening with the Rockies. Not Rockies. Oopsie. Coyotes third baseman.
Yeah, Mikey White. So these numbers will get you 300, but it's one of those things. Like, if you ended up focusing on one area, he'd probably excel. As a 21-year-old player, they're jockeying him around a little bit, trying to get that two-way status. But I think eventually he's gonna be a really good player for this league in a while. But is that gonna be this year? Is he gonna win Rookie of the Year?
No.
I don't think he's gonna win Rookie of the Year. I think it's just because of the statistics with how the game works specifically too. Like it's not gonna give you extra bonus points for being a two-way. In my opinion, Rookie of the Year race right now would probably be Bendito Ramirez hitting 309 at this point. We can actually go look at that, I believe.
I saw someone asked for Burger stats, and someone asked for Alexander King stats. Yeah. Burger siding in
Michael Ruth, Rookie of the Year candidate for the NL, hitting 392. We didn't get a Good Boys update, by the way. That's next. That should be next. Brennan Davis, though, getting some love there. Buddy Kid, 344 for... Yeah. All right, let's go to the AL side of things. You got Nelson De La Cruz, Angelo Ruth, and Andres Almanzar. Angelo Ruth, 2 homers, 12 ribbies. Nelson De La Cruz with the batting average, 370. Let's take a look at his numbers here for Vegas. Man. 18 games, 73 ribbies. Gets all the singles, man. Look at this. He's just a singles hitter. He's
got all of them.
3 doubles.
How many doubles does he have? 3 doubles. No
he's
triples,
basically
1 home run.
He's Placido Polanco.
He gets on base like crazy. He walks too. 9 walks to 10 strikeouts.
439, man. That's,
he's Nick Madrigal. He's Nick Madrigal.
Yeah, that's intense. I use the example Placido Polanco because I'm a Tigers guy.
Yeah.
And for you youngsters out there, you Gen Zs out there, you don't even know who I'm talking about. You just don't. All right. Scott, thank you very much for joining in. I appreciate it. And I'll talk about my Richmond Good Boys for a little bit, and then we'll get into that fantasy talk, and we'll have a little bit of a preview, and we'll close it up. So thank you very much.
I'm going to talk about some people's players. By yourself?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Goldie.
All right. See you later. All right, guys. Well, let's take a look at the comment section here really quick. I want to see what you guys are saying. Alexander King's stats, that'll be 1. DeMarcus King, what are his stats? What's Reagan Landish doing? Han Berger. NL Central is a joke. Let's see. That's pretty much it for the custom players you guys want to talk about here. Had a question from War Thunder, dude. How do you feel about Darius Wilson's impact on the Good Boys, judging from his statistics? Nice. What's up, sports geeks? What's going on, sir? Welcome. Placido Polanco. Yes, sir. Nice name drop. Placido Polanco. Oh, 1 minute. Little intermission here. 1 second. Hold on 1 second. Let me show you something. Let me open up the cabinet here. 1 sec. Here we go. You know what's funny is I actually forgot that I had this. I don't know if the camera's going to focus in, but there it is, baby. Placido Polanco. Signed baseball right there. It's one of those things you don't want to be that guy. You don't want to be that guy. Hey, let me show you my trophy collection. But I just thought so it just reminded me. I looked over there, I'm like, lasers flew off. I'm like, oh, I gotta show it now. Name dropped him. Gotta show it. Let's see. We'll take a look at those players. War Thunder, dude. Let's talk about the Good Boys for a second. I might get some drop off here, but you know what? We got to talk about the user team. It's not a GGBL upload unless you talk about the freaking Good Boys, man. Right? So Darius Wilson right now. Kind of struggling a little bit, man. Kind of struggling just a little bit. 194, 62 at bats. He's got the talent. He's got the contact numbers to produce. I do think the power numbers kind of limits him a little bit, right? you're not going to hit the ball very hard. Hard contact usually helps you get those singles turning into doubles, infield singles turning into hard hit base hits, line drives. He just doesn't have the power numbers. Like, he's a pure contact hitter. So I'm hoping that Wilson busts out of this. He's obviously that when you made him, he was initially the defense, contact, speed prototype. Not necessarily the most powerful guy there, but hopefully that turns around and we can produce with them too. Munoz in the number 2 has been solid, man. 16 RBIs, 259. Kyle Lewis has been. I want to see more ribbies out of there, but it's hard to get ribbies when Wilson's not getting on and Munoz is hitting 250, right? So Lewis probably got a lot of runs scored, but not a ton of. He's got 11 runs scored, but not a ton of ribbies because of just where he's at in the lineup, and the guys ahead of him just aren't getting on. 338 for Matty O. Michael Ruth, 392. This is awesome to see because in the analysis, in the preview, I was hoping that these guys right here, 5'6", was really going to be the determining factor of what this lineup was going to do. But, Torres trying to find himself a little bit here. He's actually more talented than Michael Ruth is. So this is kind of an interesting little dynamic here. Their power numbers are the exact same. Torres got he's got a lot more defense to his game than does Ruth. Ruth's got more contact than does Torres. So it is kind of an interesting dynamic here. The two corner outfielders are having two different seasons entirely. David Wright, 274. Is he 40 years old in this yet? No, he's 39. Jason Kipnis got an old infield, dude. Got an old infield on the second, third base side. It's unreal. Jason Kipnis, 244. Joey Bart, 259. No homers, though. That's a concern. Miasis, Jake Lamb, Connor Wong, Bobby Witt, 187. And we'll take a look at the pitching staff real quick, and then we'll take a look at some of your custom prospects, guys, if you want to. But Lynch, coming off of the almost no-hitter, again, in simulation, does not do well in the show. 473. Ashby, 288. Schmidt with a 5-1. What's up, Wrigley Pup? 6-9 for Forrest Whitley and 4-1 for Justin Steele. Sparkman's been fine. Wood's been decent. Elledge has been good. Stashak's been good. Zamora's been good. Shreve's been bad. 1 inning. And then Ijaz with a 3.38 and a 1.88. So that's your Good Boys update. And come here, Wrigley. Come here, dude. You heard that we were talking about the Good Boys, right? You heard we were talking about the Good Boys and you wanted to get involved, right? Say hello, everybody. Hi, bud. Hi, Wrigley. He's a good boy. He's a good little dude. Oh, what do you guys think about Wrigley? What does he look like to you? He's got that dachshund in him, but he's got a little, like, beagle, too. Are you a mutt? You don't even know, do you? You don't even know, do you? All right, let's take a look and see what you guys are saying here. Trade Kipnis to the Cubs so he can be reunited with Lindor. KAJ in depth. We've talked so much about KAJ. Portugal, you know that. You had your chance. You got to talk about Seattle. Sports Geeks, how do I create a guy for your league? Well, you can look in the description. There is a Google form to fill out. That would be an open submission. And if you get randomly chosen there, that would be a 60 overall C potential player. Most of those guys are in AA right now, so we're in year 2 of this league. So that would be where you would probably land if you got drafted, or if you got chosen, would probably be starting in AA. If you want to get a 75 A potential, there's different ratings for Patreon. If you want to donate to the channel on a monthly basis, you get the opportunity to have a little bit better of a player. There's also a way that you can get a player like Michael Ruth, for example, a 70B potential player, by playing in the weekly fantasy contests. So that's another Google form. There's questions on there, and there you make your picks and whatever, and you see if you can place in the top 5. Which, by the way, we will go into right after we look at some of these other custom players that you guys want to take a look at. So you want to look at Jake Berger, want to look at Luigi Mazza, DeMarcus King was one of them. So let's scroll here and see, can we find, I'm just going to do this. Let's go to Luigi Mazza here real quick. Luigi Mazza, where are you? 274, 2 homers, 9 ribbies. Solid. It's decent. It's decent for what he is, right? Next up, DeMarcus King. I believe he's in AAA at this point. Yes, AAA. 148. He's got the job to himself. It looks like 61 at bats, but he's got to produce a little bit. That batting average right now is not good. And this is the thing, when I created your players, you gave me that archetype, like how you wanted your guy to be. So if he was a power fielding guy, he's got to get to that 70 overall rating, because that's what you guys paid for, and that's what you guys won. He's got to get to that rating, 70 B potential, right? He's got to get to that rating, that line. So however I got to get there, I gotta work it, and I gotta find that magic concoction to get him to 70 B. So contact, he's got to do a little bit better. He's got some growing pains there, but the power numbers are good. So when he does connect, he's going to probably hit it out, which is always good to see. You want to do Hannibal Lobo. We got to look at Han Berger and then Hannibal Lobo, third baseman. Lobo's 254, 4 homers, 11 ribbies. So not bad there. Let's go to Oklahoma with Han Berger, 246, 2 homers, 10 ribbies, a stolen base. He's 240, 5'10", 240. He's a big man. He already got a stolen base. It's amazing. It's amazing. Alexander King. I went backwards. Alexander King, first base, 206. Not the greatest start. 2 homers, 6 ribbies, but Joey Votto is kind of beating him up a little bit in the race there. So I think Votto's going to be. I think you got to play King at first base. Votto right now he can't field. He's got to be a DH at that point. Could I request Cherry from Boston and Park from Maples? Park from Maples. Cherry from Boston. Cherry, 4.76, 137, 14 Ks, 7 walks, so a 2-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio. It's not bad. So Boston's just got to get him a little more run support, I think. Play a little bit better defense. Park from Maples. I don't remember who Park is. Who is Park? Can you help me there? Let me know who Park is, because I don't remember what that is. If you can, shortstop from Park. Oh, Junquaint Park. There he is. 136. So speed, J-Rock, speed, defense. This is what you get. Little contact, little power. That's 65B. 65B. I think it's fair, You gotta grind for these guys. They gotta grind. They gotta earn it a little bit. Reagan Landish. I thought he was doing really well. Reagan Landish, 282, 19 Ks, 143. Not bad. Very good numbers for Reagan Landish. He's continuing to be a very solid pitcher. He went 14-4 in his rookie year, man. So he's on pace to repeat that again. He's got a stolen base. Oh my God. Elias Markham, can you look at the Cy Young and MVP race? I sure can. Most valuable player, Nick Solak. That's not surprising to me. He's been going off. Mookie Betts as well. Danny Mendick. I don't see that this is going to continue. Danny Mendick. We got the Cy Young for the AL, Diave Garcia, Matthew Liberatore, and Zach Logue. Wow. I feel like the 2-3, I feel like other pitchers have been more deserving than Liberatore and Logue. I feel like I've seen better pitching stats than these two guys. Either way, Diave Garcia definitely earning that for sure. Let's take a look at the National League, or the Naturals League. Nick Margevicius, .29. Whoa! Holy. Earned runs, let's take a look. Only one. He's only given up one earned run in 4 starts. He's going off, man. What's his whip? .9. Nick Margevicius is doing well, man. Eric Swanson also, 199. Israel Reyes. That's an interesting development there, 1.5. MVP for the NL has got Conforto, Yelich, and Soto. Oh my. This man is hitting .523 in the month. What? You're hitting .523 in the month? Oh my god. Holy. That is ridiculous. Oh my god. Yeah, you definitely deserve to be in the race there. Holy crap. Who else do we got here? I got to get past that. Holy crap. Hi, bud. What do you need? Oh, you got to go? Wrigley calls, man. Nature calls. Guys, oh, you want to play? Is that what you want to do? You want to play? Look at. Go get it. Go get him. All right. Sidebar, right? Who else do we want to look at? We want to look at Nacho Molina, right? 250, no homers, 4 ribbies. Got the good contact against righties. Lefties needs to be, the lefty thing it'll play, right? The contact against lefties will play. But he is getting cut into a little bit by Luke Molly at 16 at bats. Nothing crazy, nothing to worry too much about. Let's see, Ricky Ribbit. Is he playing? 282 for Ricky Ribbit, right? 282, 3 homers, 11 ribbies, and he's doing all right. I think he's going to be fine. Jake Rogers, they're kind of splitting some time right now. I would end up trying to get Ricky Ribbit some more at bats, in my opinion. Just me. I think he deserves it. Paxton, 6'14", 217. Percy, 242, 1 homer, 9. So those guys got to be a little bit better. Sports Geeks, can I create my player on 20? You cannot. You have to create it. Either you get super specific in the Google form and let me know like all the numbers and stuff. Like here's his eyebrow number, here's his eye color number, here's his hair number. If you get super specific about that, I can do my best. But there's no guarantee that I can get them to exactly how you want it. But that is an option. DJ Taylor on the Monsters. I believe we did show DJ. There he is. 227, 4 ribbies, 1 steal. Ronnie Dominguez on Portland. Ronnie Dominguez, 231. We'll get some Portland gameplay in here eventually. They're not playing too well. 8-12. Maybe if they kind of turn the corner a little bit, they could get into some gameplay. I do want to get them in. I do got to figure out getting the bad teams in at some point. But guys, let's go ahead. Let's stop with the custom players updates, and you kind of have that statistic update with everybody, kind of passing through it a little bit. You'll see it in gameplay too when we talk about that. Let's go to the weekly fantasy spreadsheet here. And let's talk about our winners. So if you're seeing this, there you go. There's your winners, guys. We have Procrastinator, PSJB, the Nigerian Nightmare, Klump, Jason Y, and Keneal Mason. So congratulations, guys. You are winners. If I can interact with this a little bit. So let's look at the picks. We've got who wins, Seattle or Indiana. Indiana with the upset. You got Phoenix winning against Oklahoma. You got the Pizzazz beating Atlanta. You got the Swing beating Dallas. Pretty interesting pick there by Procrastinator. So he came in first place by picking the Flight to beat Miami. Of course, Minnesota. Santa Fe actually got a ton of votes, which is surprising to me. And Minnesota ended up getting the comeback win. San Francisco, this came down to the wire. If you guys watched the stream, Procrastinator needed San Francisco to win, plus get an Acuna home run. So it's kind of, two things kind of working against each other there. But it ended up happening for him. So he gets the custom prospect first overall there. This was a funny one. Richmond and Carolina going into the extra innings. It almost did. Ijaz and Neo Zamora had to come in and shut the Blue Sox offense down. So they couldn't quite get it done, but that happened. How many Ks will Shane Bieber have? He had 9. So Procrastinator guessed 9 on the dot and got it right. There's another entry that had 9 as well. Which MLB newcomer will hit a home run in their GGBL debut? Acuna, Story, Benintendi. These were all MLB players that are coming over that I asked who's going to hit a home run. And if they didn't, they didn't, right? So it is what it is. The one question that I wanted to ask about the custom prospects getting their first hit, everyone played and everyone's on the big league roster other than Xander Pollock. So that was my bad, so I ended up taking that question out because I can't award people for getting the question wrong by picking Xander Pollock, and I don't want to just screw him either, right? So I had to take that out. Only a couple people got the tiebreaker question right. Which team's going to score the most runs on GGBL opening day? That was San Francisco and Minnesota with 14 runs each. But nobody picked Minnesota. 2 people picked San Francisco, so they got the tiebreaker question right, but it doesn't go into your total points. So there's your top. What is that? Top 6. 6. So we got top 5 here with tying at 6, and then you got a pure leader there with Procrastinator at 7. So congratulations to Pro for that. So, guys, let us now talk about and give you guys the link on YouTube about next week's Fantasy Challenge. And then we'll do the outro and we'll be done for the night. Here it is. It is now linked for you all in the live chat. So there is your Week 2 Fantasy Challenge. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about it here. Let's get back to the Elgato up there on the screen. Let's talk about those matchups. Okay. So up next, as far as the GGBL calendar is concerned, we have at 4 o'clock, and I'll let you know the stream schedule here too. So here's the stream schedule. 4 o'clock, we have Boston against Michigan. This matchup here. Died on me here. There we go. Microphone died on me. All right, so we got this matchup here. We got Ali Finger and Jared Cherry. So they're currently starting on 2 opposite days, but I am going to make sure that game is played for them, right? So that we would get a custom prospect matchup against each other. So we're going to have Jared Cherry against Ali Finger. We're going to have Columbus against Minnesota. That'll be a tough matchup there. We got 2 teams that are vying for first place in the AL Central. We'll also have Washington against Seattle. And I feel like that matchup is going to be interesting because you got 2 teams that should be better than what they're at, and they're currently at a 500 mark. And we're going to watch Kyle Gibson against James Monroe in that matchup. So that'll be the 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time game. So I'm going in order here. So we got Boston, Michigan at 4, Columbus, Minnesota at 5, Washington, Seattle at 6, and then at 7 o'clock we're going to do Phoenix and New York. So Phoenix and New York, we're going to see Elior Letterman against Alexei Shevchuk. Now, depending on what day that those guys fall on, they're both the number 2 starters for their teams. So we're going to have custom prospect against custom prospect in one of those matchups there. It will be in New York. So Phoenix will have to yet again be on the road, but it will be a tough matchup for either one of those teams for sure. Carolina and Pittsburgh, so 2 first-place teams for their respective divisions. That'll be what's next as the, I believe, the 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock game. I believe 8 o'clock game. We'll determine who's going to start there. I think it's going to be Balazovic's game on the 8th. So it'll be Jordan Balazovic against Jeff Samardzija. We got a 15-5 Carolina against 13-8 Pittsburgh, so that'll be cool to watch. Then we're gonna get Nashville and Richmond in a 4-game series. I won't play every game, but we are going to get Josiah Gray against Justin Steele, a lefty for Justin Steele and a righty for Josiah Gray. Should be a tough matchup. Nashville, has a good offense. Ketel Marte, Buddy Kidd, custom player, hitting .344, so it should be a good game here. Another game at home for Richmond, so that'll be live stream, a user game, so we'll have that a little bit later on at night. And then the last game that we're going to show as far as regular upload will be St. Louis and Chicago, which is going to be a really good matchup because it's a 2-game series, and we're going to get Shane Bieber and Garrett Cole in that game, so that's going to be a really fun one to watch. And then we'll get a little bonus action late at night if you guys are still hanging in there. It's another 2-game series on the 17th and 18th, and it'll be Las Vegas and Colorado. Jaime, could be Jamie. Is it Jamie or Jaime? Barria versus Joey Lucchesi. That'll be a good matchup between Las Vegas, still trying to push for first place. Who knows what's going to happen here in the first 2 weeks of May, but middle part of May could be fun to watch how that's going to play out. And then Colorado just trying to maintain, right? They're trying to keep up with San Francisco and Los Angeles. So those are the matchups. Guys. Make your picks there. You guys have kind of already got a feel for how each team and each lineup is doing. So that's good for your pick'ems. And then, of course, the bonus questions there. Which former Astros teammate will total more bases? Alex Bregman for the Mallards or Carlos Correa for the Boston Revolution? So they're both playing against each other. And which guy, is it Bregman or Correa that's going to total more bases? A single means 1 total base. A double means 2 total bases. So if Carlos Correa gets a single and a double and it's the end of the game, that would be 3 total bases. Who's going to have more, right? A home run is 4. So that's something to think about. Which custom prospect pitcher will have the most strikeouts in their gameplay? So this is only strictly for custom pitchers, and we got a lot of them here. We got 5 on deck. We got James and Rose starting for Seattle, Shevchuk against Letterman, Cherry against Finger. Who's going to have the most strikeouts? Next question. At the end of May, which NL Central team will be in first place? So that one is going to be an interesting one for certain. It's so close, right? It could literally go either way on that. And you guys just have to pretty much just kind of dart throw and determine who's going to win that one, who's going to win that question. And then, of course, the tiebreaker to end this out. How many total strikeouts of all the custom prospect pitchers that are starting in the live streams, in the Twitch streams, in their starts, how many strikeouts are they going to total each other? So Letterman's going to get 5, Shevchuk's going to get 3. That's 8, right? You'd put 8, but you got a lot more pitchers pitching, right? So do your best. Tiebreakers are always the luck of the draw, and that would be kind of your little bit of a preview for the Week 2 Fantasy Challenge. If you get in the top 5, you will get a 70 overall B potential player for next year's draft. So other than that, guys, I think that's it for the stream. We went from 9 o'clock to 10:39, so an hour and a half. That's exactly what I wanted to do for the stream, and I feel like it went well for the first time ever. Let me know in the comments some feedback if there's like segments you think we can do, if there's things that you can think of that we could possibly add to make the stream a little bit more interactive or a little bit better. Always open to feedback. You let me know how it went, and I'm more than willing to hear about that. So again, I will post the live stream schedule as well as the Week 2 Fantasy Challenge in this video's description and the pinned comment. So if you're looking for it, it's down there in 2 different spots. If you're in the Discord, those links are also there as well. So like 3 different places to find it. And we'll have Thursday off of an upload for GGBL. We'll have some time. We'll look at some things on Twitter. We'll talk about it in Discord a little bit too, I'm sure. And then on Friday, here we go, 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock, Michigan versus Boston to kick us off. And then we got 7 games after that. So a total of 8 total games again. So probably won't get done on Twitch until midnight. So that's it, guys. Leave a like if you like this thing. Thank you very much for tuning in tonight. It was very fun. Always awesome to update everybody about GGBL, talk about your custom players, and have the special guests on. So thank you to Portugal for joining. Thank you to PSJB for acting as Scott Fitzko. If you're not following those guys on Twitter, Scott Fitzko on Twitter, Jordan Kendrick, Michael Soto, those GGBL reporters, make sure that you guys, make sure you guys go follow them on Twitter. You know what I'm saying? Go follow them on Twitter. Do it. Just do it. Go follow him on Twitter. It'd be awesome, I think. Guys, I'll talk to you later. I'll see you on Friday on the Twitch streams. Leave a like if you like this thing. As always, peace. Oh, and go Flint Wolves. And go Braves. I didn't find my Giants hat either, so I'm rooting for the Braves and Giants. No Red Sox, no Astros. Sorry. Not sorry.